Hey guys, what's going on? Hope everybody's having a good day out there today, and much appreciated you guys taking a little bit of your time to watch the video. And today I'm going to continue my series on the different type of hooks, different type of rigging to use with your soft plastic lures. If you guys have seen the videos I've done the last couple of days, we've talked about Texas rig worms, the hooks, creature baits, lizards yesterday, and today we're going to talk about finesse worms, and we're specifically going to talk about the lost art of Texas rigging a finesse worm, because so much now, guys, it's like, people are drop shotting them and fishing them on shaky heads, but very few people Texas rig them. So I'm going to give you guys some tips on that. Real quick, just wanted to give you guys a weekly reminder. If you guys are wanting to learn more about your favorite lake anywhere across the country, go to fishthemoment.com. Check out our lake map breakdowns that myself, Matt Steffen, and Johnny Schultz are doing. We got these awesome lake map breakdowns. Gives you 40 GPS coordinates with advice and tips on how to approach each spot. We do personal breakdowns. It's just a great resource if you want to learn more about the lakes you like to fish. Just check them out at fishthemoment.com. Okay, let's get into this finesse rig, Texas rig deal. You know, the straight shank finesse rig has been around, for a long time. Just the straight tailed plastic worm. I remember back, my very first Bassmaster tournament back in 1986. What are you doing there? You want to say hi to everybody?
Hi.
Okay, you about ready for night-night?
Oh.
Okay. Well, I'm just about ready to go to bed here. But back in the first Bassmaster tournament I fished, actually the second Bassmaster tournament I fished, 1986 at Sam Rayburn, I fished with Tommy Martin, who finished second in that tournament on a 4-inch ringworm. And that was the first tournament this was before like all the straight-tailed robo worms and zoom finesse worms and that type of stuff, old school 4-inch worm. And I got to see how effective it was. And throughout the course of my career, I've done really good on Texas rig worms. When I won that Mobile Delta Top 150 Bassmaster tournament, the last day of the tournament, I caught most of my fish on a Texas rig 4-inch worm after catching them on a jig the whole course of the whole tournament. But at times they can be extremely effective. I've made several top 10 Bassmaster finishes on a Texas rig 4-inch worm. The reason that it's sort of been overshadowed and forgot a little bit is most people consider like the 4-inch zoom finesse worm, which is sort of the standard 4-inch worm. People they started out rigging it just on an open jig head worm setup. Then it went to a shaky head. Then people started drop shotting the bait, and it's sort of become a shaky head drop shot bait. Not many people Texas rig it anymore, but there's situations where the Texas rig will outproduce the 4-inch worm on a drop shot or a shaky head setup by far. So real quick, I'm going to show you guys how I rig this here. I don't got a hook on it because the weight size on a 4-inch worm is totally dependent upon the variable of how deep you're fishing, how clear the water is, the wind, if you're penetrating cover or if you're fishing open water. In general, I like to stay with the lightest weight that I can when I'm Texas rigging, and my favorite is an 1/8 ounce or a 3/16. Those are the two that I probably use 90% of the time. They work really good. But anyway, I start out with a straight shank 1/0 hook. This is just a Gamakatsu worm hook, straight shank 1/0. The 1/0 I find is the best size for a 4-inch worm, because when you're fishing a 4-inch worm, you're normally using 6 to 8 pound test line. You need the penetration rather than the power. So that's the setup I got on it. And so I just come through like normal, about a 1/2 inch through the worm, like that. And then you've seen me in the other videos talking about it. I never, ever hook it like this, straight in the worm, especially on light line, because you'll lose a ton of fish not having the power to penetrate that plastic. So just come through it and just barely skin hook it in the side, like I've taught you guys in the other ones. Just like that. Just catch the edge of that there. That way, when you're fishing this bait on a spinning rod with a 6 or 8 pound test line, I don't really even set the hook. I mean, I'll get the bite and I'll reel down to it, and I'll just pull into the fish and reel at the same time. And since this fine wire hook, since it's barely in the worm, it just comes loose there and you get them every time. So like I said, 1/8 ounce to 3/16 ounce sinker, with a 1/0 wire hook on their straight shank. You don't want to use the EWG on a 4-inch worm. I've experimented with it a little bit, but it just seems like I've lost a lot more fish. I really like skin hooking it on the side with a straight shank hook on there. But the main thing, the different areas that I fish this in, the two situations, is I do really good on a Texas rig worm if I'm fishing it around, on a Texas rig 4-inch worm, if I'm fishing it around any type of shallow bank grass. It could be water willows, it could be, shallow milfoil, it could be reeds, that type of stuff. I'll Texas rig it on the 1/8 ounce to 3/16 ounce sinker. And if I'm flipping it, I'll peg the sinker, I'll go up in heavier lines. Sometimes I'll use it on a flipping stick with 20-pound test line if I'm flipping and pitching over something. That's when I Texas rig it. But the main difference that I want to talk to you guys about today is Texas rigging the 4-inch worm in a finesse situation, the same area that you'd be drop shotting or Texas rigging. What happens is when you are Texas rigging the worm here, it tends to lay flatter along the bottom. It doesn't stand up like a shaky head does, or it doesn't float up above the weight like a drop shot. It tends to go along the bottom more naturally like this. And sometimes that presentation is what the fish want. They want that dead presentation right along the bottom. And when I'm Texas rigging these things, I'm fishing around boat docks sometimes. I'm fishing them out on deeper points. Just drop offs, traditional places that you would fish a shaky head or a drop shot, but the Texas rig just gives it a different profile. And what you have now is you've had so many people that have quit fishing the Texas rig finesse worm. A lot of times it will outproduce a drop shot or a shaky head on there simply because it's just a different look. They don't see it. They don't see the worm flat along the bottom as much as they used to, and especially in high pressured situations. So anyway, guys, give it a try. Get you a 4-inch worm, 1/0 straight shank hook. Go with a lightweight, like an 1/8 ounce or something like that. And just give it a try in your finesse situations. Instead of going automatically to a shaky head, try the Texas rig, see if it adds up to a few more fish with you. It's just another one of those tricks that you can put in your bag that produces over time. And I know a lot of really old school dudes, like the guys I talk to that are in their 80s, a lot of them, that's still all they fish, is they'll fish a little worm on a Texas rig. They don't use the shaky heads or anything. So anyway, guys, thanks for checking in. Much appreciated. Again, thanks for everybody for helping me hit 50,000 subscribers yesterday. And please hit that subscribe button now. Hopefully we can make the next benchmark there. So we'll talk to y'all later. See ya.